Hello, everybody. We are joined by Dan. Hey, Dan, how's it going?
Hey there, my man, buddy. Glad to be here with you for another great and awesome show. Just very excited. Glad to hear your voice.
Awesome. You as well. I was actually talking to you beforehand a little bit, and so tell me about yourself. How are things going?
Life is great, and I was just told that unfortunately, we were told about the tax rates in Finland because that was my first company in Europe, basically, and now after a little bit of deliberation, we realized we got our first month's basically tax report, and unfortunately, the results were not very good. And we realized that unfortunately, the tax rates in Nordic countries is very high for foreign companies. And since we somehow did a little bit of calculation, we realized it's actually much better for us to somehow relocate our company to another city, basically in Europe. And we found the best prices and the best conditions available in Germany. So now we're planning to actually move the company officially from Finland to Berlin, Germany, and it'll take a while because we have to first annulate the company basically in Finland, and then we have to move it because fortunately that's one of the good things about the European Union. If you have anything in one part of Europe, you can actually have it easily in the other part. So it's not like moving from one country to another, but like everything is linked. So moving a company from Finland, let's say, to Germany is kind of like in the U.S. It's like moving, I don't know, from one part of Los Angeles to another. Like I don't know, from San Francisco to I don't know, let's say Los Angeles. So it's really not that much of a hassle, and all the the documents and certificates can be easily moved. And that's one of the things I really wish we had more in the U.S. or in other parts of the world, because I really appreciate the fact that we can just move things easily around in Europe. So now we're in the process of transitioning the company from Finland to Germany, because that will make it a lot more profitable for us. Since, as you know, anybody who works in business, they have two major allergies. Number one is bad customers, and number two is taxes. So, given the fact that right now we are dealing with higher taxes in Finland, we thought it was a great idea to actually move the company from Finland to Germany, which is not that far in terms of geography, because I also have a company in Russia. So, Germany is not too far from Russia, and at the same time, it's in the European Union, and it's going to allow me to travel back and forth easily between Russia and Germany when I'm in Europe. And of course, Germany is also close to the Middle East, to Dubai, and at the same time, there's direct flight to the U.S., so it's pretty good. I just thought that we're going to use Germany as our center in Europe to have access to the United States for direct flights, and to also move to other parts, basically, of Europe as well as Middle East. So it's pretty good, and we're hopefully going to get started soon, and I hope we can get things done in the next 6 months or so.
That is quite amazing. That's quite amazing. I hope everything goes smoothly for you, and we'll hear more about it, I'm sure, in future episodes as things progress.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah, we're talking about a concept that I'm very interested in personally, and especially because, in my personal opinion and view, one of the most important commodities that everybody has is themselves, and
Absolutely.
especially in today's world where there's too many, like not too many, but there's so many opportunities, but at the same time there's so much competition as well in terms of,
Absolutely.
yeah, in terms of job markets, being an entrepreneur, what have you. It doesn't matter what you want to do. If you want to be your own boss or you want to work for somebody else, doesn't matter. It's pretty much the same thing. So, subject that comes to my mind that is very interesting to me is how can you basically present yourself, and in a sense, I call it sell yourself to other people to either collaborate with you, become business partners, personal friends, personal advisors, I sometimes call these people, who can basically give you advice, mentors, or potential employers. So my question for you is that how do you see self-presentation in today's world?
Wow. You mentioned entrepreneurship. I think the ability to promote yourself is literally the number one factor that determines your success in life and in business. I repeat, your ability to promote yourself and to present yourself in the best manner possible is the number one detriment of your success in personal and professional life. Because if you cannot present yourself well, you cannot attract good clients. You cannot attract the attention of prospective customers. In your personal life, if you can't present yourself, you probably cannot find the love of your life or the kind of woman that you really want to be with, right? if you cannot present yourself, you probably cannot, make sure that you get the best results in university and your academic lifestyle. So the way you promote yourself, from my point of view, determines your social success more than anything else. We know that things that are of lower quality but of better promotion will always do better in all aspects and facets of societies than those that are of high quality but nobody knows them. And that is why I believe that self-presentation and the ability to promote yourself in a way that impresses and attracts the attention of other people is the number one skill of marketing, sales, and entrepreneurship. But not only that, but also in your personal life, that will then allow you to attract and build a great social circle made of people who truly appreciate you and who like to be around you. Because it doesn't matter how great you are from the inside. If nobody sees how great you are, if they don't understand how kind you are and how much you care about them, then you're not going to get the results that you want. And it doesn't matter how much you've worked basically on acquiring your talents or skills as, let's say, a service provider, as an expert or whatever. If people don't think that you're really good, if you don't carry that level of confidence in your steps and the way you carry yourself, then the clients are not going to believe you. I mean, like, yeah, maybe you have some experience, but I don't know that, right? So ultimately, self-promotion and self-presentation, from my point of view, is the hardest skill to master because it's never taught in school. Like we never had like self-presentation 101. We've had a lot of useless courses in school, but no one has ever taught us the importance of self-presentation. Although those, let's say, sports jockeys in your high school, I don't know, the quarterbacks who knew how to present themselves, they got the hottest chicks, right? And they had a lot of basically fans and, let's say those who loved them. But for most of us, most of the nerds in the high school, we didn't know how to do these things, right? It was like, oh, look at this guy. This guy's a quarterback, man. This guy's got the cheerleader right here. And he's so popular in the school. And like, wow, how does he do that? Well, the answer is very simple. It's called promotion. It's called self-promotion and self-presentation. And once you learn to present yourself well, you will do well in all aspects of your social life. And that is true even if you're perhaps in reality and technically inferior to someone who simply does not know how to present themselves, how to promote themselves, which is why, if you look at it right now, think about politics. Trump is a master at presentation, which is why he got elected first time, right? Even though he was not quite qualified for the task, but he was very good. I mean, you got to give this guy this credit. He was very good at self-promotion. He still is, actually. So self-presentation is an art. And the reason that Trump did it pretty well is because he's a businessman. And if you work in business, you know that the first rule is advertise, market, and promote. So once you get good at this stuff, then, of course, everything else falls through. Therefore, it's extremely important to know how to present yourself in a way that attracts the attention of other people, make them want to be around you, trust you, and work with you, and, of course, establish relationships.
Yeah, that's amazing. It makes a lot of sense, and sometimes I feel like there is some sort of stigma attached to the notion of self-presenting. If you do so, then you come across maybe a little bit arrogant sometimes, and there's a sometimes, not necessarily, depends on what subculture you're part of, but definitely some subcultures do see this as a negative thing, that you need to be more humble and let others promote you. For example, what is your thought process about that?
You see, that's one of the things I realized. As you know, I speak most of the major languages around the world, and I know almost all the major cultures. And this is the case in almost everywhere except America, in that, like, you can literally know, like, in our culture, basically, it's a lot more acceptable to promote yourself, like if you're an American. But if you act that way, then you will be called an American in Europe, for example. If you're somehow let's say you dress in a certain way that attracts the attention, or you somehow taunt your skills or abilities. But the thing is this, I really believe that even though many cultures around the world, especially the Eastern culture as well as the European culture, somehow tends to not like promotion very much because they value society, and they're more like collectivists in that they don't want the individual to shine, they want the whole society to shine. Then, of course, in those societies, it's sometimes a taboo. But in those very same societies, those few individuals who are good at self-promotion generally tend to, steal the spotlight in whatever area or field they're in. And that's precisely why I believe that it's really important to be able to present yourself, even if you are in a culture where people think of that to be a little bit arrogant. Because ultimately, even if you're in the US, you can still face with resistance because the whole idea of presenting yourself and running yourself, it involves some fear because number one, you could not be accepted, you could easily be rejected. And number two, not always people have that level of confidence in them to be able to somehow promote themselves. Like, oh man, if I talk about how cool I am, they're going to seem like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that, right? So it takes a lot more courage to promote yourself and to present yourself in a way that seems appealing than it is to just hide. I remember today, I was, of course today, but it was about a few years ago, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said, like, Dan, I just want to be a normal guy. I just want to be a regular guy. I don't want anything. I want to live a simple life, and I want to hide all of my abilities and talents, even though I have a lot of them. I just want to live a very simple life. And that guy who did hide a lot of his talents is still living with his mom, doesn't have any real career going on, and I'm not sure he's actually very happy. You see, that's the problem. You can be a nobody and hide all your talents, but if you want to be a somebody, then you have no way but to promote yourself. I mean, think of like any major brand, personal or product, Coca-Cola, Mercedes, I don't know, BMW, I don't know, Apple, Microsoft, Google. They are promoting all the time. Think of all the top personal brands, Gary Vee brand, for example, like all those things. They are being promoted 24/7. So if you want to be somebody, you don't have a choice but to face with the fear and the difficulty of promoting you. Because guys, it's not easy to promote yourself, man. It's not easy because you will have haters. You will have those like, oh, look at this idiot. Who's I mean, like anyone who knows how to promote themselves will inevitably face with jealous people, with haters, naysayers, and those who will doubt like, what the hell? Because most people simply don't like to, see someone who comes along and just starts promoting him or herself, right? So you will inevitably have that resistance from somewhere. And if you don't have a strong reality and enough self-confidence to just keep pushing through without caring about these idiots, haters and naysayers, then of course you will fall back and you have just, join the gray masses and just hide all your talents and just, my mom knows it and that's all that matters. My wife knows it and that's all that matters. No, it doesn't. If you have some talent that only your mom and wife knows, then you don't have a talent. If people around the world don't know your talent, it's as if you do not have that talent. Dude, we're running in a world where if it's not shared, it doesn't exist. I mean, the author, Noah Harari, in his book, Homo Deus, talked about this. It's called Dadaism, which is the new religion, which will be our future religion in the world. And Dadaism basically is about sharing information. And in the modern world, literally, we're in a world where if things aren't shared, it is as if they have never existed. So you might be very good at dancing or singing or drawing. You might be very good at solving certain problems. You might be a terrific engineer, a fantastic designer, a top-tier athlete. You might really punch well in the ring. But if nobody knows these talents and skills, it is as if you don't have them. And that's the problem. People spend so much darn time building skills and ability and talent without ever putting, a tenth of that effort to promote those efforts so that others know those things, which is why I'm a huge fan of facing with the inevitable problem of haters, jealous people, those who leave bad comments, those who's like, oh, look at this guy, he's got all these things. And understand that if you want to be somebody, you cannot go under the radar. No one who's ever gone under the radar was ever someone that we know today. Whether it was Mahatma Gandhi, whether it was Muhammad Ali, whether it was, I don't know, Tony Robbins, whether it was, even Trump, as we see right now today, whether it was, Barack Obama, whoever, name one person, one singer, one athlete who has gone under the radar and has become globally known and a top leader. It's impossible. And unfortunately, we live in a world where almost everybody prefers to go under the radar because of the system, obviously. And because of this, they wonder why all these few people who are promoting themselves are getting all the rewards. Very simple, because they're willing to go out there, put in the effort, resist the problems, and start promoting themselves. And promoting yourself is not always easy, as we mentioned earlier. The first thing you do when you start promoting yourself is criticism. That's the first thing that will happen. The moment you start promoting yourself for anything, whether it's your new restaurant with the cool recipe, whether it's your new gym that just got open, maybe it's your personal brand, whatever it is, you start attracting criticism. You shouldn't do it this way. Why are you doing this? And even maybe somebody close to you would do that, right? So because of this, you need to learn. If you want to do well in this world, if you want to be somebody, you simply cannot go under the radar. And that is why self-promotion, self-presentation, and ideally creating a personal brand are the keys to the future in our modern economies.
You mentioned some practical ways to actually come about this, and we're going to get into it. But I want to also mention, you mentioned Trump, and I think ironically, populism basically means self-promotion, and the leaders who tend to be more aggressively self-promoting win the populist vote.
Absolutely. Look at him, man.
Yeah.
He's in the White House. How could he get there? It's called promotion.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, half of the country actually hates the guy, maybe more than half. But
it's always like this.
Yeah.
You think half the country do not hate Gary Vee or Tony Robbins or, I don't know, any top personal brand? When you become a personal brand, when you start promoting, you will automatically, by its nature, attract haters. And it's normal. I mean, you simply can't please everyone. You want to please everybody? Sell ice cream. Don't try to be somebody.
Ice creams are great. Definitely, most people like ice cream. Although you will have still haters.
You see that? Even ice cream doesn't save you. Even ice cream doesn't save you.
I'm sure dentists are not happy about it.
Oh my! You see that? You see that? You can't even sell ice cream and please everybody. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it was quite amazing. That's a good point. That was actually a good example of it. Now that we got into it, I would like for you to share some of your experiences in this matter. In that, share some of the practical ways that somebody can go about creating a personal brand or promoting themselves. Any of the sort that you would think is useful.
Very well. Good question. First of all, I really believe that the key to a successful personal brand is to have a brand that is distinguishable from other brands. In sales, we call it unique selling proposition, or USP, unique selling proposition. You see, the problem with personal brands and those who get started with it is that they don't know how to make it and they don't know what to surround their personal brand over. You see, a personal brand of an average dude who has average things and everything is an average brand. And average brands are as if there are no brands. Anybody on the street right now, the guy who's, asking for a quarter and looking for the food in the trash can, the random guy next to you in the subway station or whatever it is, these guys, they all have personal brands. I mean, they have what? They have a unique look and they have a unique style of appearance perhaps or something. So every individual is technically a brand, right? But the problem is, are you an average brand or are you a brand that stands out? Which is why successful personal branding is about creating a brand about something that makes you unique and special and different from other people. And every single one of us has something that makes us unique and different. It's just impossible. You can bring me the lowest IQ individual in your high school who had no talent at anything. And if I talk to him for a while, we are going to find his or her talent that makes him or her unique. Every single one of us is born unique. Pujix, you are the one Pujix in history. No one in the history was ever like Pujix, and no one in the future will ever be like Pujix. There's only one Pujix, and that's you. And that makes you unique. And the same thing applies to every single one of us. And once we understand that every single one of us, we are unique, we then stop trying to conform and instead we dig deep. What is it that makes me different? And once you understand that, again, this question might bother a lot of people who perhaps, let's say live in Finland, who believe in all equality, and then they're going to tax the foreign investors up to 45%, and then cause that guy to go to Germany. Thank you very much, Germany, for 25%. Appreciate it. And Finland, you can put it up here. You know what? All right. So, but the point is, this is a reality, right? It's a reality in that in certain societies, asking such questions will be problematic, right? Because they say like, oh, you're being so eager. But you got to know this. There is no good personal brand about something that is average. Nothing average creates a good person. So the first thing is, what makes me above average? And every single one of us has something that is above average or unique or special. Maybe you as Gary, a great example is like Gary Vee. This guy sucked at school. I mean, he was a kid that just got spat on, and like he did poorly at school, but he was very good in selling and marketing and branding. Maybe Pujix, maybe you are not going to be, I don't know, the world's best wrestler, perhaps. I don't know, maybe you're a pretty tough guy. But if it comes to, let's say, physics, if it comes to, let's say, I don't know, podcasting or other things, being a producer, maybe you're one of the best there is in the whole world, right? So every single one of us, we have something that is unique, special, or above average. A good personal brand will magnify that and zooms on it, and zeroes in on that basically talent and shows to the public. And once you then are known as that cool person, because only above average or exceptional abilities attract the attention. Average stuff never attracts anyone's attention. If you see someone who's on Instagram with, I don't know, 25 followers, that brand or that person is posting average photos or average videos. Average photos and videos do not attract followers. Now, if you're somebody who has 70 followers, now this person is putting more interesting stuff basically on Instagram. If you're somebody with 500 followers, now this guy has something special that is attracting the attention of 10 times more people, right? Which is why a good personal brand is exactly this. What makes you above average? And once you know that, you have to then focus on that and ignore all the rest. The problem is a lot of us want to be like, jack of all trades. I can do this, I can do that. A good personal brand first make you known about only one thing. And then as the brand grows, you can then expand. So Gary Vee is and has always been a social media guru. But nowadays, since it's gotten really big, he can talk about a variety of things, including investments, including sports, and many other things, right? But he didn't start out as a guy with all these things. He started out with a guy who could get you to have 1 million followers on whatever platform you're in after about 12 years, right? So that was his expertise. So a good personal brand, for me personally, my entire personal brand is about two things. Being a polyglot, which is not a very common thing, and all things international. So I'm not going to talk about things that about arts, for example. I'm not going to just talk about sports. I'm not going to talk about, a variety of things that I do or care about, but I'm not an expert at, okay? So everything I do in my personal brand is about two things. All things polyglot and all things international. And that will then allow me to get the brand known. And later on, if I want to venture into other areas, whether, it's similar areas, now I do have enough basically power to actually make it happen. But until then, I should stick to my basically guns and say, all right, so how many people around the world can speak all these languages? Probably not a lot. All right, that's a good start. That's a good start to build a good brand, basically, right? And once you do that, then you can attract the attention of the audience. And that will then allow you to somehow build a personal brand. So focus on these things. Focus on the talent and focus on what makes you above average. And I'm telling you, you might say like, but Dan, I'm really good at nothing. I'm a total loser. There is no such thing as a total loser. I don't believe it. Bring me one person, anyone you can possibly imagine, and I will show you after about an hour that person is good at something. There's something about that person that makes him or her special in some way, because every single one of us, we have a very unique story. Even if you're just a random kid, who just lived with your parents all day long and you're doing nothing with your life. If you are a lady who just got divorced and life is, perhaps so difficult for you. If you are, an elderly and you feel like that your parents basically just passed away and your kids just left the house and all you're alone by yourself, it really doesn't matter who you are or how old you are, or what your gender is, what your race is. All that matters is every single one of us, we are above average at something. Whether it is your passion for FIFA, whether it is your passion for cooking, let's say exotic basically dishes, we all have something. You want to build a brand around that thing and avoid anything that is average from that brand. Remove it. If you're an average, for example, seller, don't sell and do not talk about sales in your personal brand. If you're average in academia, don't talk about, your SAT test or something like this, right? Just stick to what you're above average or good at. And that will then allow you to promote yourself much better, basically.
That makes a lot of sense. And I had a very good friend of mine who was actually telling me something very interesting. He was like, either be very good at one 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 particular thing, or have one particular talent that you're really good at, or combine a few areas or talents that is in demand and nobody else has. Makes you unique already.
Interesting. So right now, Pujix, I'm going to ask you right now, what do you think makes you unique, and what do you think is a good thing for your personal brand? Of course, other than the BTP brand, that is, other than the BTP brand, what are the other things that you think make you cool and special?
Well, I'm quite bald, but that's not unique.
Well, it is. The way you dress right now, I mean, you
Yeah.
shave it all and you have like this cool beard. That
Yeah.
is a unique look. It's not. It's not as, of course, as almost a fashion, but it's still not as popular, right?
Yes, yeah, and exactly. So, and I don't know if people's noticed, but if people who know me personally, I have quite a big nose, and a lot of people ask me, why don't you actually go and do a nose job and whatever? I was like, so what? To become like everybody else? I was like,
You see that? Amazing. You see, a big nose could actually be a good thing in your brand.
right? Everybody who sees me once remembers me. That's amazing. I want
You
that.
see that? That's what I'm talking about. Of course, I remember once we were chatting about how you use your nose in other areas as well that are more intimate, and it's very useful as well.
Yeah, let's keep that off the topic.
That's right. Man, I wish I had that ability, man.
Yeah, well, see,
top of the world.
like,
That's right.
and quite interestingly, sometimes the things that you think is your weakness actually turns out to be a strength used correctly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Now we're coming to the end part of the show. So, is there anything you think we missed or you want to revamp?
Not really. It was a great topic. Today we talked about the importance of promotion and how to promote yourself very well. And we also talked about the importance of having a personal brand. We mentioned that if you want to get a good social life, whether it is at work, at home, you need to promote yourself. You can't be shy. You can't go under the radar. People, if you are really good at something, start shouting, I'm good at this. World, look at this. I'm good at this. And guess what? What do you think will happen when you start shouting, oh, guess what, guys? I'm good at this and this. Immediately you'll attract haters, jealous people, critics. Oh, you should not do that. And all these things, right? So it's normal. And when that happens, you understand that you have no choice but to continue, because that's the only way to win. Those who are winning simply don't listen to those haters and critics and just keep promoting themselves. And we understood that if you are good at something but nobody knows, it's as if you do not have that skill or ability or talent. And we then talked about the importance of creating a good personal brand about the things that you are above average or excellent at, not just, average. We said average is your enemy. Basically, Grant Cardone says, it's all about avoiding that trap. They say that average is the worst standard that is unfortunately quite accepted these days in our modern society, not just in the United States, but all around the world, basically. And he's vehemently against anything average. And he promotes people, and he promotes himself and wants others to promote themselves in a way that somehow shows and portrays them as above average in whatever they do. But understand this. You cannot be above average or excellent at everything. It's impossible. No, I've never seen a single person who was good at everything. We all have flaws. We all have weaknesses. I do have plenty of them. I'm sure Pujit has as well. And I'm sure you're that listen to us right now, you also know your own weaknesses. We all have a ton of weaknesses, man. And because of this, we simply have to be confident about those weaknesses, accept them as who they are. And then we have to just focus on our strength and try to promote it, and understand that that's all we need to have a successful personal brand. And by focusing on the right amount of promotion, I guess life gets a lot easier in both business as well as personal life.
Excellent. Awesome. And thank you for being here as always.
It's my pleasure, my man, as always, choosing great topics. Love the show, man.
Thanks, man. Goodbye, everybody.